Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we are talking about the MC-75, otherwise known as the Profundity for Star Wars Armada. This beautiful ship, first seen in Rogue One, has made its way to our tabletops in the form of a Star Wars Armada expansion. If you guys are Rebel players for Star Wars Armada or looking to learn more about this ship or how to defeat this ship or some ideas on how to build this ship, this is the right place. If you want to learn more about Star Wars Armada, I invite you to stick around. We are also giving away a lightsaber. That giveaway is running all the way through the end of the year. All you have to do to enter to win that giveaway is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. If you want to learn more about Star Wars Armada, you're already in the right place. I also invite you to check out the links that are in the description below. Jump in our Discord, and also, just check out, we've got lots of other videos breaking down other Star Wars Armada ships and instructional videos in the video library in Discord, plus Crabbok.com has useful information. And I'd love to have you stick around. So hopefully you find what we have to talk about helpful here. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about the MC-75. It comes in two varieties in Star Wars Armada, the Ordnance Cruiser and the Armored Cruiser. But both versions are a very tough brawler of a ship. Now, the MC-75 is a large ship that makes it basically a pretty tough, pretty tanky, and hard-hitting ship that can serve multiple roles. While it usually does want to be up close and personal with enemy ships, it also serves as an excellent flagship options for many fleets. And it can dish out a load of hurt. It can be a spearhead type ship, it can be a gunboat, it can be a flagship, and it can also pack its own bag of tricks, what is commonly called the Russian nesting doll scenario. This expansion initially launched with Admiral Radis that allowed for some very interesting shenanigans, being able to hyperspace warp ships in at the last moment, similar to some of the maneuvers that we saw in Star Wars Rogue One. And this ship kind of excels in being able to do that through some of its titles, which we will take a look at here shortly. Now, while this ship is tanky, it does feature only one brace and one redirect. The other two defense tokens, while it does have four, the other two are contained defense tokens. So maybe the least useful defense token it has two of. So it's a little light on the defense tokens, but rest assured, both versions also do feature a defensive retrofit, which will allow it to lock in use of a crucial brace or redirect in the event of an untimely accuracy as it's coming in from enemy ships. The ship does feature 9 hull as well, which makes for a very solid tanky ship. It has 4 shields in the front, 3 shields everywhere else. So heavily shielded, heavy hull. A little bit light on the defense tokens, but a lot of firepower also. Very well distributed firepower on this ship. As we look at the ship's profile, it has a pretty large front arc, but also very large side arcs. Its rear arc is the only spot where it really doesn't demonstrate an overwhelming amount of firepower. And while the dice profiles are a little different between the front and the sides, usually it wants to be kind of up close in the front and maybe a little bit more range on the sides for whichever version you're looking at. It definitely does its best damage when it's up close and personal, and can take great advantage of a lot of its different upgrade slots when it's at close range. And of course, with 9 hull and lots of shields and a defensive retrofit, it's actually one of the ships that's likely to survive getting into close range with enemy ships. Though for how long? Well, that will depend on how you equip it. First off, let's take a look at the closer range of the two, the MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser. This one is the black dice version, commonly referred to as. It's got black dice in all of its arcs. It is a 3-command ship, as are most large ships. It is a 2-squadron ship, so not the best carrier, but certainly able to issue commands to squadrons. And it has an engineering value of 4, completing its profile as a tanky ship, of course, with 9 hull and lots of shields. It does have officer, weapons team, offensive retrofit, defensive retrofit, and 2 ordnance upgrades. So again, great upgrades for a black dice ship. You're gonna want that weapons team a lot of times for black dice rerolls. You've got 2 different ordnance upgrades, so you can potentially really load this thing out. It has maybe unparalleled black dice dishing out potential with 3 natively on the front and then 2 blue for that crucial accuracy that you always need with black dice. and then 3 red on the sides and 2 black on the sides, and then also 2 rear black dice as well. Now, the double ordnance upgrade here is particularly interesting because it allows you to do things like, put a modification that's adding extra black dice, but then something also like external racks, which adds even more black dice. So you can get, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with a concentrate fire black dice out of your front arc every round. Well, not every round, but at least on one round, on one crucial round, and then you'd have a little bit less, and you could still have 6 black dice on subsequent rounds, if you had the right upgrades in theory. So, definitely wants to kind of come in with its side arcs, to get some long-range shots to soften you up before we get too close, until it finally closes into close range, and hopefully getting a front and side double arc to really just destroy just about anybody. This ship can do unprecedented amounts of damage. It's pretty nice. Well, maybe it's not unprecedented, but it's certainly pretty impressive. On a different side of the coin is the MC-75 Armored Cruiser. This version is a little different in that it is going to have a little bit less black dice, although at least less black dice on its anti-ship profile, in that its side arc is blue and red, and as opposed to red and black. And then the front profile is similar, but we kind of, in the front and rear, we drop 1 black die and replace it with a blue die. We also gain a die in our anti-squadron armament, where we go from where the ordnance version had only 1 black die. We have a black and a blue for the armored cruiser, which gives us a better anti-squadron attack, which is kind of funny since there are so many anti-squadron build ideas you can do for this, especially with a ship that has 2 ordnance. You can go very anti-squadron. And so this one doesn't have the double ordnance, but it does have a better anti-squadron attack. It's also a 3 command ship, but it boosts its squadron value up to 3 here, while still having 4 engineering, so a little bit better as a carrier. Its upgrades are going to be a little different as well. We still have the officer. We also have weapons team and offensive retrofit, as well as a defensive retrofit. We are going to gain ion cannon and turbo laser, and also have a single ordnance as opposed to having 2 ordnance. So again, a more well-rounded ship here. It's able to perform a variety of different attack benefits, with having it has all 3 colors of dice, and it has all 3 types of weapon or dice upgrade slots. So you have a lot of different flexibility and a lot of potential on how you want to build this one. This one's definitely more of an all-comers type of version, whereas the ordnance version is a little bit more pointed at anti-ship or anti-squadron with those, its black dice focus. This one can do a little bit of everything, including having some black dice as well. Now, the MC-75 does have 3 titles that are available. It did kind of give us the Exodus fleet, which I'll talk about first. We've seen the Exodus fleet before. It works on any MC ship, but you're going to need to have at least 2 of them to make it work, because when you do an engineering command, it allows you to exhaust another MC title in your fleet. That's within distance 1 to 4, or at distance 1 to 4, to be able to gain 2 additional engineering points, which is pretty nice. It's almost like an extra stackable token that goes along with your engineering command. So if you were able to have an engineering command for 4 points, then a token for 2 points, and then exhaust an Exodus fleet for 2 more points, you can get a lot of engineering points. That gets you 8 points. And then there's other things that can actually stack with that as well. It does lead to some really interesting shenanigans if you're running Nebulons with titles and all kinds of extra support team options out there in your fleet. There's a lot of very interesting ways you can get ridiculous amounts of engineering. So that's a fun thing. And this is, but of course that's going to work good for ships that have multiple MCs in the build. And since this is competitively priced, you're for a large ship, you're looking at 100 points and 104 points respectively. You can actually fit a couple of ships in here, and you might be able to get 2 or even 3 of these Exodus fleets into a lot of builds. This way, remembering that the MC-30 is a fairly cheap MC style ship, and allowing you to do some Exodus fleet shenanigans. Moving up, we have the Aspiration for the MC-75 at 3 points. This one is, it says, when you deploy this ship, you may move shields from up to 2 of your hull zones to 1 other hull zone. If you do, you can't exceed a maximum of 6. You also cannot recover shields while any hull zone is greater than its maximum shield value. Now, this one is all right. This one was kind of, I want to say that this was probably more useful before we had the upgrade called Auxiliary Shields Team, which kind of does something similar, but also does let you recover. But this is a good way to kind of boost your front shield up to 6 if you wanted to, or even boost a side shield up to 6 if you are going to be going straight at somebody and expect to take a lot of damage and don't want to have to redirect or worry about doing any of that stuff. It lets you kind of do your redirecting in advance. I kind of like it for putting it on a side when you know for sure what your approach vector is going to be, and you know they're going to either shoot your front or your side. Because your front already has 4, and so if you were able to shift like 3 from your far side over to the other side, you can have 6 and 4 shields, which is pretty exceptional. And you might not even have to do redirecting that much, especially if you're facing ships that have fleets that have a lot of accuracies, kind of allowing you to save something like ECM for your brace. So that one's nice, but then again, it comes with the price of not being able to recover. So if you're going to be planning some navs and concentrate fires, maybe aspiration is the way to go for, to survive the initial approach, to get into close range and start shooting and erasing ships from the battlefield. And then the most popular title for the MC-75, the Profundity, is the title that really made the MC-75 kind of take the game by storm when it first showed up. It's a 7-point title, and it basically kind of came up with the Russian nesting doll scheme, especially since Admiral Radis also dropped with this particular expansion. But the Profundity says, before deploying fleets, you may set aside one small ship with a command value of 1, in which the rebels do have quite a few small ships with a command value of 1. At the start of any round, you may deploy the set-aside ship at distance 1. You'll also may unequip one commander or officer upgrade to this and equip it to them if able. So what does this mean? It basically means you have a small ship, be it a Corellian corvette, a flotilla, a hammerhead, inside your ship, and you kind of launch it out in the way that you would sometimes launch squadrons out with rapid launch bays. And so that's very thematic for the movie. There was a CR-90 inside the Profundity that was able to leave, and your commander can actually get on board. So if you're going to die, you be like, launch the escape ship. It's not just an escape pod, it's actually a full-blown escape ship, and your commander may board it. Of course, it says if able, because your commander cannot go on board a flotilla. So if you have like a hammerhead or a CR-90 in here, your commander can go on board that and escape. And the cool thing about that is, in some cases, your commander's ability might actually be useful on a newer ship. Like, if, for example, if you put Kirsta Agate on here, you're not going to gain a new defense token on the other ship, but you will gain her ability of being able to ignore accuracies and just discard a card to be able to spend it. So, there's little things like that. Plus, it keeps your commander alive, keeps your fleet bonus. If you have Dodana on here, then all of a sudden your Dodana's still in effect. Also, if you're definitely going to lose the Profundity, it gives your opponent less points because now your commander is not dead. So even if you have Radis on there. And of course, Profundity stacks really well with fleets that use Admiral Radis. Of course, he lets you drop in a whole ship. And so what the common thing to do was to have Admiral Radis on board another ship, not on board the Profundity, but he calls in the Profundity. And so the Profundity comes in somewhere, and then from wherever the Profundity lands, it drops in yet another ship. And so that's the Russian nesting doll idea of, I had nothing, but now I have this guy. And then out of him comes somewhere else, And so, you're just getting all these ships showing up out of nowhere, sometimes called a Radis bomb, which is a very, very fun thing to be able to do with Star Wars Armada. I actually like it. Now, it's been changed a little bit from 1.0 to 1.5, where we are now. Radis has changed a little bit, but Profundity still pretty much works the same. And one of the great things about Profundity working in that Radis configuration is that while Radis says that the ship that you pull in this case, if it's the Profundity, it cannot be selected first, so it can't go first. And that's especially tough if you're first player. The ship that Profundity pulls in can go first. So if you got a little hammerhead or something like that and you want them to get out there and surprise your opponent and shoot first, you can certainly do that. So I want to look at some ways that we might build an MC-75 for Star Wars Armada and just some ideas. I'm going to have 4 sample builds here. Of course, you can go with whatever you would like to do, but first off, I want to start with the MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser as a dedicated anti-squadron ship. I say dedicated, I mean it's still going to do nasty things against ships. still going to be very good against regular ships. No problem there. It's got ordnance experts. It's got black dice. It's still going to be great against other ships. But here, we're trying to maximize our anti-squadron attacks. And so if this thing were to show up and have range on enemy squadrons, it could really give them a bad day. First off, we have General Draven. So any A-Wings or Intel ships that are out there, anybody with counter or Intel, we're going to get an extra die. So I can roll maybe 2 black. I can re-roll them both with Ordnance Experts. I can flechette torpedoes. So if maybe you're full health and you're an ace or something like that, no problem. Let me spend one of these dice and just exhaust you so you don't even get to activate. So even if I don't kill you, no problem. I can just make sure you don't get to activate. If I miss with the flechette torpedoes, okay, no problem. I've got Ordnance Pods. I get to attack again afterwards. So just really a whole lot of anti-squadron hate coming from this ship, and it's something that you wouldn't be able to do this much if you didn't have the double ordnance slots, because both flechette torpedoes and ordnance pods are both really, really nasty anti-squadron upgrades, and you don't see double ordnance on very many ships in the game at all. So being able to combine these two is especially cool. Moving up, we'll take a look at an aspiration. Aspiration here is, going on. I put this one on an armored cruiser, and trying to get up close. I put external racks on this ship, and this is a ship that maybe I'll do what I said before and just put the shields on the side. I mean, the front is certainly a good option too. A lot of times you're going to be flying towards your opponent. But in this case, maybe I'm going to try and maximize my side arcs and until I can get close enough to hit them with the front. And I put a lot on this one. So I put enhanced armament on there, really big side arcs. I have heavy ion emplacements. I've got blue dice everywhere, right? So let's get a blue die crit effect going on with that. Early warning systems. I'm going to put my my side arc to you, and I'm also going to make it obstructed if you want to shoot it. Or maybe I'll make the front arc obstructed. And then maybe I make the side arc the only side that you actually want to shoot at, but it's got 6 shields now, so I really don't care where you shoot. I put hardened bulkheads on there, intel officer to just make my shots even more nasty. Kaitian and Sholin too. This is a ship that doesn't need to take gunnery teams because it's got so much dice and so many arcs that it's kind of okay if it doesn't take gunnery teams. And so Kaitkin and Sholin is a great option for this because it just gives you great rerolls and you get to pick the color. And since you have all of the colors available in multiples, it gives you some excellent decisions that you can make, and you can really be the commander of your own destiny. Do you really need that blue crit? Go for it. Reroll the blue. Oh, did you roll a couple of empty black dice after popping external racks? Go ahead. Reroll the blacks. Oh, did you roll? Is it a long range shot? And that's the only shot you had? No problem. You can reroll some reds. Oh, do you really need an accuracy? You can reroll for it if you want. So just a whole lot of flexibility in a ship like this and a whole lot of damage potential. Looking at a kind of closer range, wanting to survive ship, we're going to go with something a little bit more standard of a offensive black dice build here. We do have ordnance experts on this one again. However, we're looking at the double ordnance upgrades, kind of giving us a lot of dice in the front. I talked a little bit about how many dice can you get in the front. We expanded launchers and external racks, 2 dice in the front, and then 2 dice once per game anywhere. And so those both can potentially go into the same shot. They might not, though. I've got ECM, so I can make sure I can brace as I'm getting close enough to use all these black dice upgrades. And then we'll probably plot a couple of engineering commands in there. Even if I don't need the engineering when it comes up, I can take the token. Even if I can only use a token, I can pop Exodus Fleet on another MC ship and still get 4 engineering out of a single token, which is really, really cool, and that's going to help me stay alive. So ECM and Exodus Fleet are giving me the survivability to stay alive long enough to use all these amazing black dice options. And of course, there's other things you don't have to go with these. A lot of people don't like expanded launchers because it is very, very expensive. There are other options you could go with for sure. You don't have to go with this. And a Profundity build, and I have a lot on the screen here. So the idea is the Profundity is going to be dropping off a ship, but we'll talk about the ships after. But Profundity, I put it on an armored cruiser here, and I put a lot. I wanted to be able to activate squadrons. I wanted to be able to do full-blown kind of nesting doll here. So I want to be able to move and surprise you. I want to be able to surprise you with range here. Maybe this ship is getting called in by Radis. Radis is on a CR90. The CR90 moves. All of a sudden, this ship drops in at distance 2, and then maybe it's got fleet commander and flight controllers. Like I can activate squadrons. I can wait until I move and then do a squadron command and then drop them. And you didn't even know I was going to be on the board this turn, so you weren't prepared to have all these squadrons that now all of a sudden rapid launch bays. My squadrons now deploy, and now they get an extra blue die for fleet commanders. I do this after I move. Advanced projectors, I've got lots of shields. It's another option for your defensive retrofit. External racks, since I kind of want to get up close to you, it's definitely an option. Point defense ion cannon, a newer upgrade, really nice for the armored cruiser, especially if I'm planning on being up close and next to other enemy squadrons, perhaps, or just kind of dropping in. I think it's a great option on Profundity. Profundity is almost always placed very close to enemy ships, so point defense is a great one. Quad battery turrets is also a really good option for this ship because you tend to, especially if you drop in front of enemy ships, they're going to want to speed up to get away from you, and you can deploy at speed 1 very, very easily when you deploy. Although sometimes you even deploy at speed 0 if an opponent has an interdictor and they're putting the grav wells out there. Dropping in with Profundity or Radis does count as deploying, so that's something else to think about. So with the quad battery turrets, again, extra blue dice works on all of your arcs, keeps you flexible. This ship wants to survive wants to just drop in at close range, so it doesn't need all the extra survival. But Profundity, the title allows us to put a ship on board. Also, a lot of people will go with a hammerhead, a hammerhead with Garell's Honor. This way, you're getting some black dice. You get to drop this. You can activate it first. Garell's Honor, I get to shoot. Sometimes people put external racks on there as well. I get to shoot, throw a couple extra dice, and then move and ram you, and maybe kill a ship. But another option is Cham Syndulla as well. Cham, you can pop a squadron command and set all their dials. That's really good versus a Starhawk. It's really good versus a Super Star Destroyer. It's really good versus even any Command 3 ship. If somebody's not running very many squadrons, you just give them all squadron commands. It's Cham Syndulla is just a really nice ace in the hole for a Profundity. So it's something to consider. Alternatively, if you're going for more of the Russian nesting doll Radis bomb, you could consider a GR-75 with its own rapid launch bays and bomber command center. And maybe this guy comes out, drops 2 B-wings that it had on board, right? And then all of a sudden they activate right away with bomber command center. Boom! And then, of course, that bomber command center helps activate this guy's rapid launch bays as well. So there's a lot you can do with this, and a lot of B-wings right in the middle of position right away. It's just a fun thing to do. So you have a lot of options on what kind of ships you might want to put on the Profundity. Of course, you can only put one. So if you're going squadron heavy, maybe GR-75. If you're not going super squadron heavy, maybe Hammerhead. Those are 2 popular options. And that's just a quick look at the MC-75. It's definitely wants to be up close and personal. It's built to be able to survive that. It wants to throw a lot of dice at your opponent, and of course the Profundity shenanigans with warping people around and warping people into the middle of the battlefield. Always a very, very fun way to make your game a little more dynamic and a little unpredictable. Let me know what you guys think and how you run the MC-75. I'll also keep the discussion going in our Discord. Love to have you there. I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing and help make this channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Be excellent to each other. Live long and prosper. Party on, dudes. So say we all.